sleeping on a cardboard box outside the city's most expensive hotel, was once the owner of that very building. That the hands now begging for spare change once signed contracts worth millions? Keep watching, because this story will shatter everything you think you know about fate, love, and justice. The rain fell like bullets on the cracked pavement of downtown Lagos. Under a torn plastic sheet, Amara Okonkwo clutched her 6-year-old daughter Zara closer to her chest. The child's breathing came in short, painful gasps. Asthma. The inhaler had run out 3 days ago. A new one cost 20,000 naira. Amara had exactly 215 naira in her pocket. "Mom, it hurts," Zara whispered, her little fingers digging into Amara's threadbare dress. Amara kissed her daughter's burning forehead. "I know, my love. Just breathe slowly, in and out, like I showed you." She had been beautiful once. Everyone said so. Even now, beneath the dirt and exhaustion, her high cheekbones and almond-shaped eyes held traces of the stunning architect who once graced magazine covers. But beauty meant nothing when you were invisible. And homeless people, Amara had learned, were the most invisible creatures in the world. The hotel doors swung open, warm light spilled onto the wet street. A woman emerged, dripping in gold jewelry, her designer handbag worth more than most people earned in a year. She was laughing, her voice sharp and familiar. Too familiar. Amara's blood turned to ice. Kioma, her sister, her own flesh and blood. "The gala was absolutely divine," Kioma gushed to her companions, a group of equally wealthy women. "Did you see the ice sculpture? Cost 3 million naira. Can you imagine?" Amara turned her face away, pulling the plastic sheet higher. "Please don't see me. Please don't see me." But fate, as always, was cruel. One of Kioma's friends pointed directly at Amara. "Oh my God, is that woman living there? With a child? How disgusting. Security should remove them." Kioma's eyes followed the gesture. For 1 heartbeat, 2 heartbeats, recognition flickered across her face. Then something worse replaced it. Contempt. "You there?" Kioma called out, her voice dripping with false concern. "You cannot stay here. This is private property." Amara said nothing. Maybe if she stayed quiet, this nightmare would end. But Kioma walked closer, her expensive heels clicking on the pavement. She leaned down, and Amara could smell her perfume. The same perfume their mother used to wear. The memory was a knife to the heart. "I said, move along," Kioma hissed, low enough that her friends could not hear. Then louder, for their benefit. "These homeless people have no shame, using children to beg for money." "I am not begging," Amara said quietly, her voice hoarse from disuse. "We are just trying to stay dry." Kioma's eyes narrowed. "Do I know you?" This was it. This was the moment. Amara looked up, met her sister's gaze directly. "Yes." Recognition hit Kioma like a physical blow. Her face went pale, then flushed red. "No," she breathed. "No, it cannot be." "Kioma, please," Amara whispered. "Zara is sick. She needs medicine. I'm not asking for much, just enough for an inhaler. Please." But Kioma's shock was already transforming into something uglier. Fear. And with fear came rage. "I do not know this woman," Kioma announced loudly, stepping back. "She is clearly mentally disturbed. Security, security, remove this beggar immediately." 2 security guards appeared, large men with expressionless faces. "Please," Amara begged, standing up with Zara in her arms. The child was wheezing badly now, her lips starting to turn blue. "My daughter cannot breathe. Please, just let us stay until the rain stops." "Kioma, is everything all right?" one of her friends asked, concern in her voice. Kioma's laugh was brittle, theatrical. "This crazy woman is claiming to know me. Can you believe the audacity? They will say anything for money these days." The security guards grabbed Amara's arms. Zara cried out, terrified. "Wait," Amara pleaded. "Kioma, tell them who I am. Tell them about the house on Banana Island. Tell them about our parents. Tell them about the company they left us. Tell them how you forged the documents. Tell them how you stole everything." The accusations hung in the air like smoke. Kioma's friends exchanged glances. This was getting interesting. Kioma's face twisted with fury. "This woman is insane. I've never seen her before in my life. She needs psychiatric help, not money. Remove her, now." The guards dragged Amara and Zara into the rain. Amara stumbled, nearly dropping her daughter. Behind her she could hear Kioma's voice, smooth and reassuring, spinning lies to her fascinated audience. You see what I mean? These people are shameless, absolutely shameless. Amara sat on the wet ground, cradling Zara, watching her sister disappear back into the golden warmth of the hotel. The rain washed away her tears, but it could not wash away the truth. She had once owned 40% of Okonkwo Enterprises, one of the largest real estate development firms in West Africa. She had designed buildings that changed skylines. She had been someone. Now she was no one. Zara's breathing was getting worse. The child's eyes were rolling back. Panic seized Amara's chest. No, no, not like this. She could lose everything, but she could not lose her daughter. Across the street, a small pharmacy was closing. Amara ran, her bare feet slapping against the wet concrete. The pharmacist was pulling down the metal shutter. Please, Amara gasped, please, my daughter cannot breathe. I need an inhaler, any inhaler, please. The pharmacist, a tired-looking man in his 50s, glanced at Zara's blue lips and immediately understood. Come inside, quickly. Hope. For the first time in months, Amara felt hope. The pharmacist retrieved an inhaler from behind the counter. 20,000 naira. Amara's hope shattered. I only have 215 naira, please. I will pay you back. I promise. I used to own a company. I used to be someone. I will pay you back with interest. The pharmacist's expression softened with pity, but he shook his head. I am sorry. I cannot give away medicine for free. I have my own family to feed. Amara fell to her knees. Please, she is dying. Please, I'm begging you, have mercy. But the pharmacist was already ushering her toward the door. Business was business. Mercy did not pay bills. Amara stumbled back into the rain, Zara limp in her arms. The child's breathing was barely a whisper now. This was how it ended then. Not with dignity, not with justice, just with rain and darkness and a mother's useless tears. She sank down against a wall, holding her daughter close, whispering prayers to a God who seemed to have forgotten they existed. The street was empty. Everyone had gone home, everyone except the invisible people. Then she heard footsteps. A man appeared through the rain, hunched over, wearing a maintenance worker's uniform. He looked old, maybe 60, with gray hair and weathered hands. A street sweeper, probably, or a night watchman. He was carrying a small bag. He stopped when he saw them. Is the child all right? Amara did not even look up. Please, just leave us alone. But the man knelt down, rain soaking into his uniform. He studied Zara's blue lips, her shallow breathing. She needs a doctor. I know what she needs, Amara said bitterly. She needs medicine I cannot afford. She needs a home I do not have. She needs a mother who is not useless. The man was quiet for a moment. Then he opened his bag and pulled out a worn wallet. He counted out bills. 20,000 naira. Exactly. The pharmacy across the street, he said, pressing the money into Amara's trembling hand. Go now, before it is too late. Amara stared at the money, then at the man. Why? Why would you help us? The man's eyes were kind, but there was something else there too. Something sad, something that spoke of old wounds. Because someone should have helped me once, and no one did. Now go. Amara ran. She burst into the pharmacy just as the pharmacist was about to lock the door from the inside. She slammed the money on the counter. Please, please, I have it. I have the money. The pharmacist looked surprised but nodded. He retrieved the inhaler. Amara administered it with shaking hands. 1 puff, 2 puffs, 3. Come on, baby. Come on, breathe, breathe. Zara coughed, gasped. Then her breathing slowly, miraculously began to steady. The blue faded from her lips. Color returned to her cheeks. Amara sobbed with relief, clutching her daughter so tightly the child squeaked in protest. Thank you, God. Thank you. She ran back outside to thank the stranger, but the street was empty. The man had vanished like smoke, like an angel, like a dream. But the miracle was real. Zara was breathing. They would survive another night. What Amara did not know was that the maintenance worker was still there, watching from the shadows. And he was not a maintenance worker at all. His name was Marcus Adeyemi, and he was worth 47 billion naira. He owned half the buildings in Lagos, including the hotel where Kioma had just humiliated her sister. He had watched the entire scene unfold. He had heard every word. And he had made a decision. Marcus Adeyemi did not believe in coincidences. And he definitely did not believe in accidents. 23 years ago, his wife and infant son had been in a car crash. He had been too busy closing a business deal to pick them up from the hospital. They had taken a taxi instead. The taxi driver fell asleep at the wheel. His family did not survive. He had spent 2 decades building an empire, trying to fill the void. But money could not buy back the dead. Money could not erase guilt. So, 5 years ago, he had started walking the streets at night, disguised as a worker, trying to understand the city he had built his fortune on, trying to feel human again. He had seen many things in those 5 years: cruelty, kindness, desperation, hope. But he had never seen anything like what he witnessed tonight. A woman, clearly educated, clearly once wealthy, reduced to begging her own sister for help. And that sister, dripping in stolen luxury, denying her own blood. It reminded him of his own sister, who had tried to steal his company after his wife's passing. He had crushed her legally, mercilessly. But this Kioma woman was still walking free, still enjoying wealth that was not hers. That would change. Marcus pulled out his phone and made a call. "Daniel, I need everything you can find on a woman named Kioma, last name unknown. Attended a gala tonight at the Golden Pearl Hotel. I want her entire life history on my desk by morning." "Yes, sir," his head of security replied without question. Marcus hung up and looked back at the pharmacy, where through the window he could see Amara holding her daughter, tears streaming down her face. Even filthy and broken, she was breathtaking. But more than that, she had something rare, something precious: dignity. In all his billions, Marcus had never been able to buy that. He smiled for the first time in years. The game was about to begin. 3 weeks passed. Amara and Zara had moved to a different part of the city after the incident with Kioma. They now slept in an abandoned construction site, sharing space with 4 other homeless families. It was not safe, but it was better than being alone. Amara had found occasional work doing laundry for a nearby restaurant. The owner paid her in food and small change. It was not much, but it kept them alive. Zara was getting stronger. The inhaler had saved her life. Every night, Amara thought about the mysterious man who had helped them. She had tried to find him, asking around the neighborhood, but no one knew who he was. It was as if he had never existed. Little did she know, Marcus had been watching her the entire time. He knew her schedule. He knew she woke at 5 in the morning to fetch water from a public tap 3 blocks away. He knew she sang to Zara every night, old Igbo lullabies that made his chest ache with nostalgia. He knew she never took charity without trying to give something back, always offering to sweep or clean in exchange for food. She was proud, too proud perhaps, but pride was better than surrender. Marcus had also completed his investigation into Kioma. The results made his blood boil. Kioma Okonkwo, now Kioma Okafor, after marrying a state governor's nephew. Age 34. She had indeed stolen her sister's inheritance through forged documents, claiming Amara was mentally incompetent. The real Amara Okonkwo, age 36, had been declared legally dead 3 years ago after she disappeared, following a mysterious fire at her apartment. A fire that, according to Marcus's investigator, had been deliberately set. Amara had survived, but had lost everything: her identification documents, her bank access, her home. Without proof of identity, she could not work, could not rent an apartment, could not even open a bank account. She had become a ghost in her own country, and Kioma had orchestrated all of it. But here was the interesting part. Okonkwo Enterprises, the company their father had built, was about to go public. The initial public offering would make Kioma a billionaire overnight. The company was valued at 93 billion naira. Kioma owned 80%, having bought out the minority shareholders with forged authorization documents in Amara's name. The offering was scheduled for 6 weeks from now. Marcus leaned back in his leather chair, a plan forming in his mind. He could destroy Kioma with a single phone call to his lawyers, but that would be too quick, too easy, too merciful. No, he wanted Kioma to feel what Amara had felt: humiliation, desperation, hopelessness, and then, only then, would he deliver justice. But first, he needed to get closer to Amara. He needed to earn her trust, and he knew exactly how to do it. The next morning, Amara woke to find a stranger standing in the construction site, a woman, professionally dressed, holding a briefcase. "Amara Okonkwo?" the woman asked. Amara's heart stopped. No one had called her by her full name in 3 years. "Who are you?" "My name is Grace Chukwu. I am a lawyer. I represent a client who wishes to offer you a job." Amara laughed bitterly. "A job?" "Lady, look at me. I am homeless. I have no identification. I have a child. Who would hire me?" Grace smiled. "My client would. He needs someone to manage a community garden project in this neighborhood. The pay is 50,000 naira per month, plus housing in a small apartment on site. You would start immediately." 50,000 naira. An apartment. It was impossible. It had to be a scam. "What is the catch?" Amara asked suspiciously. "No catch. My client believes in second chances. He saw you working at the restaurant. He was impressed by your work ethic." Amara's mind raced. This was too good to be true. But Zara was watching her with hopeful eyes, and hope was a dangerous thing to deny a child. "Who is your client?" Amara asked. "He prefers to remain anonymous for now. He is a philanthropist. He funds many community projects. Will you accept?" Amara looked at Zara, then at the dirty ground where they slept, then back at Grace. What did she have to lose? She had already lost everything. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I accept." Grace's smile widened. "Excellent. Gather your things. I will take you to the apartment now." The apartment was tiny, just one room with a small bathroom, but to Amara it looked like a palace. There was a bed, a real bed with clean sheets, a small kitchen with a stove that worked, running water, electricity. Zara ran around the room, laughing, touching everything with wonder. Amara stood in the doorway, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you," she whispered to Grace. "Thank you. Please tell your client I will work hard. I will not disappoint him." Grace handed her an envelope. "Your first week's wages, in advance, and here is a phone. My client may need to reach you about the garden project. There's also a medical card for your daughter, fully paid health care at St. Joseph's Clinic." Amara opened the envelope. 50,000 naira in crisp bills. She had not seen this much money in years. "Who is he?" Amara asked again. "Please, I need to thank him." But Grace was already leaving. "All in good time, Miss Okonkwo. All in good time." That night, Amara and Zara ate rice and stew that Amara cooked on their own stove. They slept in a real bed. And for the first time in 3 years, Amara allowed herself to dream. Maybe there was justice in the world after all. Maybe there were still good people. Maybe they would be okay. She did not know that her mysterious benefactor was sitting in a penthouse 20 floors above her, watching through a monitor as she tucked her daughter into bed and sang the same Igbo lullaby his own mother had sung to him as a child. Marcus touched the screen gently, his finger tracing Amara's face. "Soon," he murmured, "soon you will have everything back, and she will have nothing." But there was something else in his voice, something he had not felt in 23 years. Longing. The community garden project was real. Amara spent her days clearing a piece of abandoned land, planting vegetables, teaching neighborhood children about farming. The work was hard, but it was honest, and it felt good to be useful again. The mysterious benefactor communicated only through Grace, sending instructions and supplies. Amara never saw him, never heard his voice, but she felt his presence like a guardian angel watching over her. Zara thrived. With regular meals and medicine, her asthma attacks became rare. She started smiling again, laughing, being a child. Amara began to remember who she used to be. The architect, the businesswoman, the daughter of Thomas Okonkwo, who had built his fortune from nothing and had taught her that integrity mattered more than wealth. She had forgotten those lessons in her years on the street. Survival had made her small, desperate, fearful. But now, with stability returning, she felt the old fire rekindling. One evening, as she was locking up the garden, a familiar figure appeared. The old maintenance worker. The man who had given her money for Zara's inhaler. Amara's heart leaped. "You, I have been looking for you everywhere. I need to pay you back. I have money now. Please, let me repay you." Marcus smiled, still disguised in his worker's uniform. "Keep your money. You need it more than I do." "But you gave me 20,000 naira. That is not a small amount. Please, I insist." Marcus shook his head. "Consider it a gift. How is your daughter?" "She is well, thanks to you. You saved her life." They stood in awkward silence for a moment. Then Marcus said, "I heard you got a job with the garden project." "Yes, it is a miracle. I do not know who my employer is, but I thank God for him every day." Marcus felt a twinge of guilt. She had no idea she was talking to him. "You deserve good things. I can see you are a hard worker." Amara laughed softly. "I used to be more than that. I used to be an architect. I designed buildings. I had a company. But that life is gone now." "Why is it gone?" The question was simple, but it opened a floodgate. Amara found herself telling him everything. About her parents' death in a plane crash 5 years ago. About how her sister Kioma had convinced her to sign some papers while she was grieving. Papers that Amara later realized transferred everything into Kioma's name. About how she had fought back, hired lawyers, but Kioma's new husband was politically connected. About the fire, about losing Zara's father, who had left when he realized Amara was penniless. About 3 years on the streets. Marcus listened, his jaw tightening with every detail. His investigation had uncovered most of this, but hearing it from Amara's own lips made it visceral. Real. "Your sister sounds evil," he said quietly. "She is not evil," Amara replied, surprising him. "She is afraid. Our father loved me more. Everyone knew it. I was the firstborn, the talented one. Kioma always felt like she was in my shadow. When our parents died, she saw an opportunity to finally be first, to finally matter. That does not excuse what she did. No. But understanding why someone hurts you makes it easier to forgive them." Marcus stared at her. "You have forgiven her?" Amara was quiet for a long moment. "I'm working on it. Hate is heavy. I'm tired of carrying heavy things." This woman, Marcus thought, was extraordinary. Most people in her position would be consumed with rage, but here she was, choosing grace, choosing forgiveness. He had been rich his entire adult life, but he had never met anyone as wealthy as Amara Okonkwo. Her wealth was not in money, it was in spirit. "What if you could get everything back?" Marcus asked carefully. "Your company, your home, your name. Would you want that?" Amara smiled sadly. "That is a fantasy. My sister has powerful friends. The documents she forged look real. I have no proof of who I am. I do not even exist on paper anymore. But what if you could? Would you want revenge?" Amara thought about this. "I would want justice, not revenge. There is a difference. Revenge is about hurting someone because they hurt you. Justice is about restoring what was broken, making things right." Marcus felt something shift inside his chest. He had spent 5 years planning to destroy his own sister for what she had tried to do. He had succeeded, crushing her financially, ruining her reputation. He had called it justice, but maybe it had just been revenge. "You are a wise woman," he said softly. Amara laughed. "I'm a homeless woman with a job and a room. Wisdom did not get me here. Luck did. I do not believe in luck. I believe people create their own destiny. Then I must have created a terrible destiny. Or maybe," Marcus said, "you are creating a better one, and the worst part of your story is over." Amara looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time noticed his eyes. They were young eyes, intelligent eyes, eyes that did not match his gray hair and stooped posture. "Who are you?" she asked suddenly. Marcus tensed. "Just an old man who works nights." "No, there is something about you. Something familiar." Before Marcus could respond, his phone rang. He glanced at the screen. It was Daniel, his head of security. "Emergency." "I have to go," Marcus said abruptly, "but I will see you again." He walked away quickly, pulling off his gray wig as soon as he was out of sight. Daniel's voice was urgent when he answered. "Sir, we have a problem. Kioma Okafor just announced a press conference tomorrow. She is launching the IPO early. If we do not act now, she will secure billions in capital and become untouchable." Marcus swore under his breath. "How early?" Tomorrow at noon, at the Golden Pearl Hotel, the same hotel where Kioma had humiliated Amara. Perfect. Prepare the documents, Marcus said, all of them, every piece of evidence we have, and send an invitation to every major media outlet in Nigeria. Tell them I am making a major announcement about corporate fraud. They will come. Sir, are you sure? Once we do this, there is no going back. Marcus thought about Amara's words. Justice is about restoring what was broken, making things right. I am sure. It is time to make things right. The next day, Chioma Okafor stood before a crowd of journalists, investors, and society elites in the grand ballroom of the Golden Pearl Hotel. She wore a cream-colored suit that cost more than most people's annual salary. Diamonds glittered at her throat and wrists. She was the picture of success. Ladies and gentlemen, she began, her voice smooth and confident, today marks a historic moment for Okonkwo Enterprises. My father, the late Thomas Okonkwo, built this company from nothing, and now I have the honor of taking it into the future. Our initial public offering will make us the largest real estate development firm in West Africa. Applause filled the room. Cameras flashed. Kioma smiled, soaking in the adulation. In the back of the room, disguised behind sunglasses and a baseball cap, Amara watched. Grace had called her that morning, insisting she attend. Amara did not want to come. Seeing Kioma's triumph would be like swallowing glass. But Grace had been persistent, almost desperate. Trust me, Grace had said. You need to see this. So here Amara stood, watching her sister claim their father's legacy as her own. Kioma continued her speech. Some have asked me about my sister, Amara. Tragic, really. She passed away 3 years ago in a terrible accident. She was mentally unstable toward the end. It broke my heart, but I know she would be proud of what I have accomplished in her memory. Amara's hands clenched into fists. Passed away. Mentally unstable. The lies were so casual, so smooth. But then something happened. The lights in the ballroom dimmed. A massive screen descended from the ceiling. Kioma looked confused. This was not part of her presentation. What is going on? She demanded. Someone turn that off. But the screen flickered to life, and on it appeared a man. He was seated in a chair wearing an impeccable black suit. His face was stern, handsome, powerful. Amara had never seen him before, but something about him made her breath catch. Good afternoon, the man said. His voice was deep, commanding. My name is Marcus Adeyemi. Some of you may know me. I own Adeyemi Holdings, the largest private equity firm in Nigeria. I apologize for interrupting this event, but I have some information that I believe the public deserves to hear. Kioma's face had gone white. Turn it off! Turn off the screen! But no one moved. Everyone was transfixed. Marcus continued. 3 years ago, a woman named Amara Okonkwo disappeared. She was declared legally dead. Her estate, including her 40% ownership of Okonkwo Enterprises, was transferred to her sister, Chioma Okonkwo, now Chioma Okafor. What the public does not know is that Amara Okonkwo is not dead. A gasp rippled through the crowd. On the screen, Marcus held up a document. This is a forensic analysis of the signatures on the transfer documents. They are forgeries. This is security footage from the night of the fire at Amara Okonkwo's apartment. You can clearly see 2 men entering the building with gasoline canisters. We have identified these men. They are employed by Governor Okafor's office. This is a bank record showing a payment of 5 million naira from Chioma Okafor to these men 2 days before the fire. The crowd erupted in shocked murmurs. Journalists were typing frantically on their phones. Chioma screamed, "This is slander! Lies! My lawyers will destroy you!" Marcus's expression did not change. I welcome legal action, Mrs. Okafor. In fact, I have already filed criminal charges against you on behalf of the real owner of Okonkwo Enterprises. Charges include fraud, forgery, attempted murder, and theft. The police are waiting outside to escort you for questioning. Chioma looked around wildly. The exits were blocked. Security guards, not hotel security but men in police uniforms, stood at every door. This is not happening, Chioma whispered. This is not happening. Marcus stood up on the screen. Mrs. Okafor, you once said that homeless people are shameless, that they will say anything for money. But I have learned that the truly shameless are those who steal from their own family, who destroy lives for personal gain, who sleep in mansions built on their sisters' tears. He walked off screen, and the video ended. The lights came back on. Chaos erupted. Journalists swarmed Kioma, shouting questions. Investors were on their phones, pulling out. The police moved in. Amara stood frozen, her mind reeling. Someone had fought for her. Someone had exposed the truth. But who? Then she heard a voice behind her. "Hello, Amara." She turned. And there he was. The maintenance worker. Except he was not a maintenance worker anymore. He wore a suit that probably cost 100,000 naira. His gray hair was gone, revealing dark, slightly silver-streaked hair. His stooped posture was gone, replaced by the bearing of a man accustomed to command. But his eyes were the same. Kind, sad, knowing. "You," Amara breathed, "you are Marcus Adeyemi." "I am. You are my employer. The garden project, the apartment, everything." "Yes." Amara's mind was spinning. Why? Why would a billionaire pretend to be a maintenance worker? Why would you help me? Marcus stepped closer. "Because I saw you, really saw you. Not just a homeless woman, not just a victim. I saw a mother who would beg for her child, a woman who chose grace over bitterness, someone who still believed in justice when the world had shown her none." Tears were streaming down Amara's face. "You did this for me? You exposed Kioma for me? I did it for justice. And yes, I did it for you." Behind them, Kioma was being led away in handcuffs, screaming about lawyers and political connections, but her voice was growing fainter. Amara looked at Marcus. "I do not understand. Why do you care what happens to me?" Marcus was quiet for a long moment. 23 years ago, I lost my wife and son. I spent every day since then building wealth, thinking it would fill the emptiness, but it never did. Then I saw you in the rain, and I remembered what it felt like to care about something other than money. You reminded me what it means to be human." Amara did not know what to say. This was too much, too overwhelming. "What happens now?" she asked quietly. Marcus smiled. "Now you reclaim your life, your company, your name. I have already filed the paperwork to restore your legal identity. Okonkwo Enterprises is yours. The IPO will proceed, but under your control. You will be a billionaire by the end of the month." A billionaire. The word felt foreign, unreal. "I do not know how to be that person anymore," Amara whispered. "Then we will figure it out together, if you will let me." Amara looked into Marcus's eyes and saw something there that terrified and thrilled her in equal measure. Hope, possibility, connection, but also questions, so many questions. "Why the disguise?" she asked. "Why not just help me as yourself?" Marcus looked away. "Because people treat you differently when they know you have money. I wanted to see who you really were. I wanted you to see me, not my wealth." "That is manipulative." "Yes, it is. I am not a perfect man, Amara. I have made many mistakes. This is probably one of them. But I am not sorry, because it led me to you." Amara should have been angry. She should have felt used, but all she felt was tired. So very tired. "I need time," she said, "to process all of this, to figure out who I am now." Marcus nodded. "I understand. Take all the time you need. But know this. Everything I did because I believe you deserve justice, and I will continue to fight for that, whether you want me in your life or not." He turned to leave, but Amara caught his arm. "Wait. You saved my daughter's life. You gave me back my name. I may not understand your methods, but I know a good heart when I see one. Thank you, Marcus Adeyemi." "Thank you." Marcus's expression softened. "You are welcome, Amara Okonkwo." 6 weeks later, the IPO went through. Amara was indeed a billionaire, worth 93 billion naira on paper. But wealth, she discovered, was complicated. The media called her the Phoenix Heiress, risen from the ashes. Everyone wanted her story. Her picture was on every magazine cover. Investors wanted meetings. Politicians wanted donations. Suddenly, everyone knew her name, but they did not know her. Marcus kept his distance, true to his word, but he sent gifts, toys for Zara, books on business management, flowers with no notes. He was giving her space, but making sure she knew he was still there. Amara threw herself into rebuilding Okonkwo Enterprises. Her father's company had been badly mismanaged under Kioma's control. Projects were over budget, clients were unhappy. It would take years to restore the company's reputation, but Amara had time. And she had something Kioma never had: integrity. She also discovered something else. Running a billion-naira company was lonely. She had money, she had power, she had her daughter, but she did not have partnership, understanding, love. She missed Marcus. It was a strange realization. She barely knew the man. He had lied to her, manipulated her, played games with her life. But he had also saved her, seen her, chosen her when she was nothing. 3 months after the IPO, Amara invited Marcus to dinner. Not at a restaurant, not at her new penthouse, but at the community garden they had built together. Marcus arrived wearing jeans and a simple shirt, looking more like the maintenance worker she had first met than the billionaire he was. "You came," Amara said, surprised despite herself. "You invited me. Of course I came." They sat on a bench surrounded by vegetables and flowers. Zara played nearby, chasing butterflies. It was peaceful, normal, perfect. "I've been thinking," Amara said, "about everything that happened, about who I was, who I am now, who I want to be." Marcus waited, not pushing. "I realized something. When I had everything, I was not happy. I was successful, but I was alone. My marriage was falling apart. My relationship with Kioma was toxic. I worked 80 hours a week building buildings for other people while my own life was falling apart." "And now?" Marcus asked softly. "Now I have perspective. Losing everything taught me what actually matters: family, integrity, kindness, the things my father tried to teach me, but I was too ambitious to learn." "Your father would be proud of who you have become." Amara smiled. "I hope so, but there is something else." "What?" "I have been alone for a long time, Marcus. Even before I lost everything, I was alone. I thought I did not need anyone, but I was wrong. I do need someone who sees me, who challenges me, who chooses me not because of what I have, but because of who I am." Marcus's breath caught. "Amara, I know this is complicated. I know we barely know each other. I know you have your own trauma, your own past. But I want to try. If you want to try." Marcus stood up, pulling Amara to her feet. He cupped her face gently, his eyes searching hers. "I fell in love with you the moment I saw you in the rain, protecting your daughter with nothing but torn plastic and fierce love. Everything I did after that, every choice I made, was because I wanted to give you the world, not because you needed it from me, but because you deserved it. Period." He kissed her then, soft and careful, like she was something precious, breakable, sacred. When they pulled apart, Amara was crying, but for once, they were happy tears. "So what happens now?" she asked, echoing her question from months ago. Marcus smiled. "Now we build something together. Not a company, not an empire, a life, a family, a future." Zara ran up to them, laughing. "Mama, is he my papa now?" Amara and Marcus both laughed. "Not yet, baby, but maybe someday." Zara seemed satisfied with this answer and ran back to her butterflies. "She is wonderful," Marcus said. "You have done an amazing job with her. She saved me as much as I saved her. When I wanted to give up, I would look at her face and remember that I had to keep going. Children do that. They give you a reason to be brave." Marcus was quiet for a moment. "I had a son once. He would be about Zara's age now if he had lived." "I know. I'm sorry. I thought I would never be able to love another child, that it would feel like betraying his memory. But watching Zara these past months, I realized that love does not diminish when you share it. It multiplies. My son would want me to be happy, to live, to love again." Amara took his hand. "We have both lost so much. Maybe that is why we found each other, to remind us that endings are also beginnings." "I like that," Marcus said. "Endings are also beginnings." But as it turned out, their story was not quite over. 2 weeks later, Amara received a letter. It was from Kioma. She was awaiting trial, out on bail, thanks to her husband's political connections. The letter was short. "Dear Amara, I do not expect forgiveness. I do not deserve it, but I want you to know that I am sorry. I was jealous, angry, broken, and I broke you in return. If I could undo what I did, I would, but I cannot. All I can do is tell the truth. There is a safety deposit box at First Bank, Ikoyi branch, box number 4793. The key is taped to the back of this letter. Inside is something that belongs to you, something I should have given you years ago. I am sorry, sister. I'm so sorry. Kioma. Amara's hands shook as she read the letter. Marcus, who was with her, frowned. It could be a trap. Or it could be genuine. People change, Marcus. You changed. I changed. Maybe Kioma is changing too. The next day, they went to the bank together. The safety deposit box was real. Inside was a single document. Amara unfolded it with trembling fingers. It was a letter from their father, Thomas Okonkwo, dated 1 week before his death. My dearest daughters, if you are reading this, then I am gone. I want you to know that I love you both equally. Amara, you were my shining star, brilliant, talented, strong. But Kioma, you were my heart, gentle, kind, always trying to make everyone happy. I failed you, Kioma. I made you feel like you had to compete with your sister for my love. You never did. You always had it, equally, completely. I am leaving the company to both of you, 50% each. Not because you earned it, but because you are my daughters. You are family. Promise me you will take care of each other. Promise me you will remember that blood is thicker than business. Promise me you will love each other the way I love you, always. Your father, Thomas Okonkwo. Amara was sobbing by the time she finished reading. Marcus held her as she cried. He loved us both, Amara whispered. All this time, all this pain, and he loved us both. What will you do? Marcus asked gently. Amara wiped her eyes. I will visit my sister. I will show her this letter, and I will tell her that I forgive her, because holding on to hate is a prison, and I have been in prison long enough. The visit was arranged for the following week. Kioma looked terrible. Her designer clothes were gone, replaced by simple prison garb. Her makeup was smudged. Her hair was unwashed. She looked small, broken. When she saw Amara, she started crying. I am so sorry, Kioma sobbed. I am so sorry. Amara sat down across from her sister. She placed their father's letter on the table between them. Read it, Kioma read, and as she read, her crying intensified. He loved me. He really loved me. And I destroyed everything because I thought he did not. Yes, Amara said simply. You destroyed everything. You stole my company. You burned my home. You left me and my daughter on the streets. You almost killed us. Kioma's face crumpled. I know. I am a monster. No, you are human, flawed, broken, like all of us. But here's what I know. Hate is heavy, and I am tired of carrying heavy things. So I am putting it down. I am forgiving you, Kioma, not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace. Kioma looked up, shock in her eyes. You forgive me? I do. But forgiveness does not mean no consequences. You broke the law, you hurt people. You will face justice for that. But from me, personally, you have forgiveness. And when you are released, whenever that is, you will have a job waiting for you at Okonkwo Enterprises. Our father left the company to both of us. I am honoring that, 50-50, just like he wanted. Kioma was crying so hard she could barely speak. Why? Why would you do that? Amara smiled through her own tears. Because a wise man once told me that justice is about restoring what was broken, making things right. You and I were broken, Kioma. Our relationship, our family, everything. But broken things can be mended if both people are willing to try. Kioma reached across the table, and Amara took her hand. Two sisters, broken, healing, together. 1 year later, Amara and Marcus stood at the altar of a small church. It was not a grand wedding, no media, no society elites, just family and real friends, people who had seen them at their worst and loved them anyway. Zara was the flower girl, beaming with pride. Kioma, recently released on parole and genuinely working on rebuilding her life, was Amara's maid of honor. It was a controversial choice, but Amara did not care. Family was family. As Marcus slipped the ring onto Amara's finger, he whispered, I was lost until I found you. Amara smiled. We found each other. Two broken people making each other whole. They kissed as husband and wife, and the small crowd erupted in cheers. After the ceremony, at the reception, Amara stood to give a toast. She looked around the room at all the faces. Some were new friends, some were old, some were people she had met when she had nothing, who had shown her kindness when the world had shown her cruelty. "I want to tell you all something," Amara began. 3 years ago, I lost everything: my home, my identity, my dignity. I slept on the streets with my daughter, and I thought my life was over. I thought God had abandoned me. But I was wrong. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is actually the best thing. Because losing everything taught me what really matters. It taught me that wealth is not in your bank account. It is in your character. It is in how you treat people when you have nothing to gain. It is in the kindness of strangers who give when they have little. It is in forgiveness when hate would be easier. It is in love that chooses you, not for what you have, but for who you are. She looked at Marcus, who was watching her with tears in his eyes. I thought a billionaire falling in love with a homeless woman was a fairy tale. But it is not. It is a reminder that every person has value, regardless of their circumstances, that every life matters, that every story deserves a second chapter. So to anyone listening who feels lost, broken, or invisible, I want you to know this: you are seen. You matter. And your story is not over. Sometimes the ending you fear is just the beginning you need. The room was silent except for the sound of people quietly crying. Then Marcus stood and raised his glass. To new beginnings. And to the woman who taught me that sometimes the richest person in the room is the one with the kindest heart. Everyone raised their glasses. To new beginnings. As Amara sat back down, Kioma leaned over and whispered, "Thank you for giving me a second chance, sister." Amara squeezed her hand. We all deserve second chances. Every single one of us. And in that moment, surrounded by love and possibility, Amara Okonkwo Adeyemi knew that she was finally home. Not in a building or a mansion, but in the hearts of people who chose to see her, love her, and walk with her through both the storms and the sunshine. Life, she realized, was not about never falling. It was about who helped you stand back up, and she had found people worth standing for. The story could have ended there, happy and resolved. But life, as Amara had learned, always had one more twist. 3 months after the wedding, Marcus came home looking troubled. Amara was in their study, reviewing architectural plans for a new affordable housing project she was spearheading. "What is wrong?" she asked, seeing his expression. Marcus handed her a folder. "This arrived today, from my private investigator. I did not ask for it, but he thought I should know." Amara opened the folder. Inside were photographs of her late husband, David, the man who had abandoned her and Zara when the money ran out. Except he had not just abandoned them. According to the report, David had been paid by Kioma 2 million naira to leave Amara, take Zara, and disappear. He was supposed to take the child and give her to Kioma, who planned to raise Zara as her own, further isolating Amara. But David had taken the money and run, leaving both Amara and Zara behind. It was his cowardice that had inadvertently saved them. He was currently living in South Africa, remarried with 2 more children. Amara read the report twice, her hands shaking. "I'm sorry," Marcus said quietly. "I know this is painful." Amara closed the folder. "No, it is not painful. It is clarifying. David was never the man I thought he was. I spent years wondering what I did wrong, why I was not enough to make him stay. But it was never about me. It was about money. He was bought, like a commodity." "What do you want to do with this information?" Amara thought for a long moment. "Nothing. He is Zara's biological father, but he is not her parent. You are more of a father to her in 1 year than he was in 6. Some people do not deserve space in your life, even for closure. He made his choice. We made ours. That is enough." Marcus pulled her into his arms. "You are remarkable. You know that? I'm just tired of letting the past steal my future. We have a good life, Marcus. A beautiful life. I'm not going to let ghosts ruin it." But that night, as she tucked Zara into bed, the little girl asked a question that broke Amara's heart. "Mama, why did my first papa not love me?" Amara's breath caught. "What makes you think he did not love you, baby?" "Because he left. If he loved me, he would have stayed. Like Uncle Marcus stays. Amara climbed into bed next to her daughter, pulling her close. Listen to me very carefully, Zara. Sometimes grown-ups make bad choices, not because there is anything wrong with you, but because there is something broken inside them. Your first papa was broken. But that does not mean you are not lovable. It does not mean you are not precious. It does not mean you are not worthy. Do you understand? Zara nodded, but her eyes were still sad. And you know what else? Amara continued. Sometimes the family you are born into is not the family you are meant to have. Sometimes you get to choose your family. And Marcus chose us. He chose to love you. He chose to be your papa, not because he had to, but because he wanted to. And that kind of love, that is the most powerful kind of all. Do you think he will ever leave? No, baby, I do not think he will ever leave, because he knows what it is like to lose the people you love, and he would never put us through that pain. Zara seemed satisfied with this answer. She snuggled closer. I'm glad you found him, Mama. I'm glad we are not alone anymore. Me too, baby. Me too. As Amara left Zara's room, she found Marcus standing in the hallway. He had heard everything. I mean it, he said. I will never leave you, either of you. You are my family now, the family I thought I would never have again. Amara kissed him softly. I know, and we are so lucky to have you. 5 years passed. Okonkwo Enterprises became the leading real estate firm in West Africa, but with a twist. Under Amara's leadership, 50% of all projects were dedicated to affordable housing. She had not forgotten what it felt like to have nowhere to go. She was determined that fewer people would experience that pain. Kioma had served her time and was now working as Amara's Director of Community Relations. It was not a pity job. Kioma had genuine talent for connecting with people, for understanding their needs. She poured herself into the work, trying to make amends for the lives she had destroyed. The sisters would never have the easy relationship they had in childhood. Too much had happened, too much had been broken, but they had something better: mutual respect, understanding, and a shared commitment to honoring their father's legacy the right way. Marcus and Amara had 2 more children together, twin boys named Thomas and Emmanuel. Zara adored her little brothers, playing the role of protective big sister with fierce devotion. One evening, as the family sat down for dinner, Marcus made an announcement. I am stepping down as CEO of Adeyemi Holdings. Everyone stopped eating. What? Amara asked, shocked. Why? Marcus smiled. Because I have spent 47 years building wealth, and I realized I only have so many years left to build memories. I want to spend them with you, with our children, not in boardrooms and conference calls. But your company is your legacy. No, Marcus said, looking at Zara, then the twins, then at Amara. You are my legacy. This family is my legacy. Everything else is just money. Tears filled Amara's eyes. Are you sure? You built that company from nothing. And it will continue without me. I have excellent people running it. But our children, they will only be young once. I missed that with my first son. I will not miss it again. Zara jumped up and hugged Marcus. Does this mean you will be home more, Papa? Every single day, my darling. Every single day. That night, after the children were asleep, Amara and Marcus sat on their balcony overlooking Lagos. The city sparkled below them, millions of lights representing millions of lives, millions of stories. Do you ever think about how different things could have been? Amara asked. If you had not walked down that street that night, if you had not seen me in the rain? Marcus pulled her closer. I think about it all the time. How one moment can change everything. How one choice can alter the course of a life. I was ready to give up that night. If Zara had not survived, I do not think I would have either. But she did survive. You both did. And look at you now. You did not just survive, Amara. You thrived. You took everything that was stolen from you and built something even better. Amara smiled. We built something better. Together. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Amara said, I got a letter from David today. Marcus stiffened. What did he want? He heard about my success. He wants to reconnect with Zara. He says he made a mistake. He says he wants to be a father. What did you tell him? Nothing yet. I wanted to talk to you first, and to Zara. She is old enough now to have a say in this. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. What do you want to do? Part of me wants to tell him to disappear forever, that he lost his chance, that you cannot abandon a child and then come back when it is convenient. But another part of me remembers what our father's letter said, about forgiveness, about family. I do not know what the right answer is. There might not be a right answer, only the answer that feels true to who you are. Amara leaned her head on Marcus's shoulder. When did you become so wise? I had a good teacher. A homeless woman once told me that hate is heavy, and she was tired of carrying heavy things. Those words changed my life. The next day, Amara sat down with Zara. The girl was 12 now, poised on the edge of adolescence. Smart, thoughtful, so much like her mother. Baby, I need to talk to you about something important. Zara looked up from her homework. Is everything okay? Everything is fine. But your biological father, David, has reached out. He wants to meet you. Zara's expression was unreadable. Why now? I do not know. Maybe he genuinely regrets leaving. Maybe he heard about our success and wants something. I cannot read his mind. What do you think I should do? Amara took her daughter's hand. I think you should do whatever feels right to you. If you want to meet him, I will support you. If you never want to see him, I will support that too. This is your choice, baby. Not mine. Not his. Yours. Zara was quiet for a long time. Then she said, I want to meet him, not because I forgive him, but because I want to look him in the eye and ask him why. Why he left. Why he did not love me enough to stay. Why money mattered more than his own child. Amara's heart broke and swelled with pride at the same time. You are so brave, baby. So much braver than I ever was. I learned from the best, Mama. The meeting was arranged for the following week. A neutral location, a coffee shop. Amara and Marcus waited in the car while Zara went inside. Through the window, they watched as David stood up. He looked older, tired, regretful. Zara sat down across from him, her posture straight, her expression calm. She's going to be okay, Marcus said, squeezing Amara's hand. I know, but it still hurts to watch. They could not hear what was being said, but they could see David talking, gesturing, his face anguished. Zara listened, her expression never changing. Then she spoke. Just a few words, but whatever she said made David's face crumple. He reached across the table, but Zara pulled her hand back. She stood up, said one more thing, and walked out. She climbed back into the car, her face composed. What did you say to him? Amara asked gently. Zara was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I told him that I forgive him, because you taught me that forgiveness is not about the other person. It is about freeing yourself. But I also told him that forgiveness does not mean relationship, that he lost the right to be my father when he chose money over me, and that I already have a father, the one who chose me, the one sitting in this car. Marcus's eyes filled with tears. He turned around and pulled Zara into a fierce hug. I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. So incredibly proud. Amara wiped her own tears. Her daughter was wise beyond her years, and she had learned that wisdom through pain, through loss, through watching her mother choose grace over bitterness time and time again. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give your children is not wealth or comfort. It is the example of how to remain human even when the world tries to make you hard. Years continued to pass. The children grew. The businesses flourished. Amara and Kioma's relationship deepened into something genuine, built on honesty and shared purpose rather than obligation and resentment. One day, when Amara was 52 years old, she received a call from a young woman. The woman was homeless, living on the streets with her baby. She had heard Amara's story. She wanted to know if there was hope for her too. Amara met her the next day. The woman looked exactly like Amara had 15 years ago, desperate, exhausted, on the edge of giving up. What is your name? Amara asked. Blessing, the woman whispered. Well, Blessing, let me tell you a story about a woman who lost everything, who slept in the rain with her sick daughter, who was betrayed by her own family, who thought God had forgotten her name. Amara told her story, all of it, the pain, the humiliation, the hunger, the fear. but also the kindness of strangers, the unexpected rescue, the long road to healing and justice. You see, Amara concluded, rock bottom is not the end of your story. It is just the beginning of a different chapter. And sometimes that chapter is the most important one you will ever write. She handed Blessing an envelope. Inside was money for an apartment for 3 months, a job offer at Okonkwo Enterprises, a medical card for her baby, everything Amara had once received from Marcus. Why are you doing this? Blessing asked, tears streaming down her face. Because someone did it for me. And he taught me that wealth is not about how much you accumulate. It is about how much you give, how many lives you change, how many people you help stand back up. Blessing sobbed, how can I ever repay you? You do not repay me. You pay it forward. When you are back on your feet, when you are stable and strong, you find someone else who needs help, and you extend your hand. That is how we change the world. One person at a time. One act of kindness at a time. That evening, Amara told Marcus what she had done. He smiled. You have created something remarkable, he said. Not a company, not a fortune, but a legacy of compassion. We created it, Amara corrected. You started this. You showed me that one person's kindness can save a life, can change a destiny, can restore hope. And you showed me that money is meaningless without purpose, that real wealth is measured in the lives we touch, not the accounts we fill. They stood on their balcony one more time, looking out over the city. So much had changed, so much had been restored, so much had been redeemed. Do you have any regrets? Marcus asked. Amara thought about this. I regret the pain, the years on the streets, the fear in my daughter's eyes when she could not breathe. But I do not regret the journey, because it made me who I am. It taught me what matters. It showed me that sometimes you have to lose everything to understand what is truly valuable. You are an extraordinary woman, Amara Okonkwo Adeyemi. And you are an extraordinary man, Marcus Adeyemi. We are lucky we found each other. Not lucky, Marcus said, kissing her forehead. Blessed. 10 years later, Amara stood in front of a crowd of 5,000 people. She was giving the keynote speech at a women's empowerment conference. Her hair was streaked with gray now, but her eyes were bright, strong, unbroken. I want to tell you about the night I thought my life was over, she began. I was sitting in the rain, holding my dying daughter, with exactly 215 naira in my pocket. I had lost my home, my identity, my dignity. I had been betrayed by my own sister, abandoned by my husband. I was invisible, and I was ready to give up. The crowd was silent, hanging on every word. But then a stranger appeared, an ordinary-looking man in a maintenance uniform, and he gave me 20,000 naira, enough to save my daughter's life. He did not know me, he did not owe me anything, but he chose to see me, to help me, to remind me that I was not alone. Amara paused, emotion thick in her throat. That man was Marcus Adeyemi. He became my husband, the father of my children, my partner in life and business, but more than that, he became the catalyst for my transformation, not because he saved me, but because he reminded me that I was worth saving. She looked out at the audience, so many faces, so many stories, so much pain and hope mixed together. Here is what I want you to know. Your circumstances do not define you. Your past does not limit you. Your failures do not disqualify you. Every single person in this room has value. Every single one of you matters. And every single one of you has the power to rise from whatever ashes life has left you in. The crowd erupted in applause. But here is the other side of that truth. If you have been blessed, if you have resources, if you have climbed out of your valley, you have a responsibility, not to hoard your blessings, not to forget where you came from, but to reach back and pull someone else up. Because that is how we change the world, not with grand gestures, but with daily acts of kindness, with choosing to see the invisible, with extending grace to the broken, with believing in people when they have stopped believing in themselves. Amara's voice rose with passion. I challenge you today. Find someone who needs help, not someone who can repay you, not someone who will boost your image, but someone who is truly desperate, someone the world has overlooked, and invest in them. Time, money, mentorship, belief. Watch what happens. Watch how one act of compassion can change a life, can change a family, can change a community, can change a nation." She paused, letting the words sink in. 15 years ago, I was homeless. Today, I'm a billionaire. But my wealth is not what makes me valuable. My character is, my choices are, my commitment to lifting others is. And the same is true for you. You are not defined by what you have. You are defined by who you are and what you do with what you have been given. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. Women were crying, embracing, inspired. After the speech, as Amara walked backstage, she passed a mirror. For just a moment she saw her younger self, dirty, desperate, defeated, and she whispered to that reflection, "You made it, sister. You survived, and you became something beautiful." That night, at home, surrounded by her family, Amara felt complete. Marcus was reading to the twins. Zara was in medical school now, determined to become a pediatric pulmonologist to help children like she had been. Chioma was visiting, sharing stories about the community center they had just opened in their father's name. This was wealth, not money, not buildings, not bank accounts, but love, connection, purpose, legacy. Amara's phone buzzed. A text message from Blessing, the woman she had helped years ago. There was a photo attached. Blessing stood in front of her own small business, a clothing boutique. Her daughter was beside her, healthy and smiling. The caption read, "Thank you for seeing me when I was invisible. I am paying it forward. Just helped a young mother get off the streets. Your legacy continues." Amara showed the message to Marcus. He smiled. "You started a movement." "We started a movement," Amara corrected, "and it will continue long after we are gone, because kindness is contagious, hope is transferable, and love multiplies when you give it away." She looked around at her family, at the life they had built, at the people they had helped, at the change they had created. This was the real fairy tale, not a billionaire falling in love with a homeless woman, but two broken people choosing to heal together, choosing to use their pain as fertilizer for growth, choosing to transform their trauma into purpose. Because in the end, life is not about the hand you are dealt. It is about how you play those cards. It is not about never falling. It is about choosing to rise. It is not about never being broken. It is about allowing your cracks to become channels for light. Amara Okonkwo Adeyemi had learned this truth the hard way, through rain and hunger, through betrayal and loss, through grace and redemption, and now she was teaching it to anyone who would listen. Your worth is not determined by your worst day. Your story is not finished until you decide it is. And sometimes the most beautiful chapters come after the darkest nights. We hope you enjoyed this powerful story. Share your thoughts in the comments, like this video if you have not already, and subscribe so you do not miss new captivating stories. Remember, no matter where you are in life, your story is not over. And sometimes, the person you help today might be the one who changes the world tomorrow. Keep believing, keep fighting, keep rising, because you matter. Your life has purpose, and your greatest chapter might still be ahead of you.